Pakistan finally end their 3-year run of losses at home. We're from the shiny side. I'm your host, Faris, and we have with us, after a gap of a couple of months perhaps, Umair Qazi. Umair, welcome to the show, and it's good to have you talk about a cricket game which we actually won for a change.
Hi, Faris. It's been a while since I've been on the show. It's been a while since Pakistan has won something. You said 3 years, but it's actually 3 years, 10 months at home since we last won
Yes,
a test match.
that's correct.
And I was also trying to think of when was the last time Pakistan won any cricket match that was of significance. And I think that was the semi-final of the T20 World Cup in 2022. So that's 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So 2 साल बाद हम फिर से खुश हो सकते हैं किसी चीज के ऊपर.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
खुशी बहुत छोटी है.
the only silver lining is that New Zealand game in the World Cup where we chased 400, even that was a rain-shorted game, right? So, I mean, it didn't become
Yeah, but
significant, and it was not even a
yeah,
full
I
game,
mean,
to be honest.
yeah, I don't know how significant that was. I think we were crashing out of the World Cup anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, it just delayed the inevitable. But like you said, a bunch of new stuff as things have happened. The first win for Shan as captain in the sixth test. We have a new selection committee, of course, which selected the side. Was appointed right before the series. We've got Akib Javed, Azhar Ali, and Aleem Dar, of course, the umpire coming in. So I
That's
guess,
such a week.
yeah, Asad Shafiq, yes. So before we get into that, and then I'd like to not think of the result when you answer this question. But what do you think of the three appointments? Obviously, getting an umpire is something completely out of the box, but overall.
Yeah, look, I am not a fan of anyone in management being someone who's played with the current crop of players. Whether you're a coach or a selector or someone on the board, you should not be part of the management. That's why I'm not really a big fan of Azhar Ali and Asad Shafiq's appointments. Akib Javed, I think, greatest appointment yet. Aleem Dar is a question mark. I mean, greatest umpire we've had ever, but I don't know how he'd do with selector, and I don't know how much say he had. I know for a fact that Akib Javed had a lot of influence
Yeah.
on whatever happened. Uh, but yeah, Aleem Dar, I really don't
I think
know.
the
We'll
overall
find out.
strategy we saw play out. I think Akib's publicly very recently been saying stuff along those lines. So I think it's
Yeah.
quite straightforward that it's Akib has a big role to play. But I guess if we get into the test
Yeah.
specifically, now the other big thing is no one is saying for sure, but no one can recall the last time a test was played on this exact same pitch as a test a week earlier. It may have never happened before. It definitely hasn't happened in modern times. Having said that, it seemed like a decent, unusually good call from the PCB. What's your take on that?
Look, yes, and again, I don't think PCB had anything to do with it. It was all Akib Javed. Akib Javed has been talking about unleashing your spinners on a dry pitch with a
Yeah,
dry square. He's been talking about this for a while. And we had under Misbah al Haq when we used to play in the UAE, when UAE was Pakistan's home, we had a 7, 8 year run in Test cricket where we didn't lose a series to anyone. And what was the strategy there? We had great batsmen, yes, but we also had spinners who could take 20 wickets
yeah,
of the opposition, and we kept winning Test matches based on that.
yeah.
And all of a sudden, when you move back to Pakistan, why do you move away from that strategy? It just doesn't make sense. And Akib had been calling for this. And then you have a coach in Nazar Mahmood who goes out and says statements, oh, reason we don't do that is because we don't have spinners in Pakistan who can take 20 wickets. You just had two Babas take 20 wickets
Yeah,
against England right now. I mean, come on. And these
yeah.
guys,
And
both Sajid and Naman Ali had been playing for Pakistan.
yeah, it's
And
not
they
like they
just got
knew.
dropped for 20
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
given how little cricket we play, sadly, it doesn't even make headlines. So no one remembers who the last 11 was when we played them, basically. So that's the problem, right? Because हम इतना कम टेस्ट मैच वैसे ही खेल
Yeah,
रहे हैं.
so I went back and looked at this, right? Noman Ali last played a test match for Pakistan in July of last year. It was in Colombo. It was against Sri Lanka. Pakistan won that test. Pakistan won that series as well. They beat Sri Lanka in the second test. In the second innings, Sri Lanka were chasing some 300 plus score. Noman Ali took 7 wickets in that innings. After that, he has not played a test match. Pakistan has
Yeah.
played 3 matches against Australia in Australia, two against Bangladesh and Pakistan, then against England. So 6 test matches, and Noman Ali is not
Yeah.
there. Any
And
reason for why he was dropped after a 7 wicket haul? Makes
yeah,
no
it
sense, right?
makes no sense right here. Absolutely. I mean, there's no continuity at all. It's like, each time we're playing a
Sajid
test
Khan,
series, it's like a new project should do correct from scratch as opposed to having
yeah,
something which we are.
exactly. Exactly. Sajid Khan played in Sydney in Australia at the beginning of the year. right?
yeah,
He didn't take many wickets. He was very economical, but after that, he was dropped.
yeah,
Why? You go into a test match against Bangladesh with four pacers. It's not like they're all tear away 150 kilometers plus,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And I think it also
So I
really
mean, look, he's great.
goes down to how poorly poor we've been at making pitches, right? Because I mean, the pitch yesterday, by the way, this wasn't even day four was probably like some of those Indian pitches on day one, by the way. So it's not like it was insanely
Yeah,
spinning; it was just spinning a little bit, right? So in India, it's very common. You go to Chennai or
yeah.
something, you have a day one or day two track spin this much.
I
So
mean,
it's
India's
not
been
like it's
winning
out
for
of
the
the
last
ordinary.
25, 30 years. India's been winning for the last 25, 30 years at home, playing on
Yeah,
dust bowls. I
yeah,
mean, it's
exactly.
fine. It's your home conditions.
Yeah,
Utilize them. We're not only bad at making pitches, we also do not have a brain. I don't know if
yeah.
anyone thinks in Pakistan cricket. There's no thought to anything.
Because again, and to be honest, it's not even about what you do, sometimes how you do it. So for me, the way this decision came up in a 3 day gap in a couple of games, somebody made a call, great. But what you need is a longer term strategy. What kind of cricket do we want to play? What is our strength? Hence, how do we develop pitches over the next 2 years, which are going to be our test centers, and who are the players we need to develop around it, right? So this is all very sporadic. Sure, it worked out this week, so it's great. But if you do it such short termism, then it's not going to work out more often than not, as we've seen in the past.
Look, I also feel it worked out because you appointed a new selection committee. You appointed someone like Akib Javed, and he implemented what he had been saying for the last 2 years,
Yeah,
right? If he had opposition, for example, or I mean, Akib Javed has always been an outspoken, honest guy who has Pakistan cricket at his heart, right? That's his philosophy, how he's always been. I mean, I'm afraid 2 months later he'll be gone because someone will
yeah,
not like him
yeah.
for being outspoken and honest, right? But
Yeah,
he did the right thing. He delivered results.
yeah.
You
And
could have
and
been
com
doing this 3 years ago.
yeah, coming to the game itself, right? So it's interesting how we've won a game, and we obviously you and I rightly have a lot of things to pick on. But I think if you look at how the game started, Pakistan won the toss. How big was the toss, by the way? Do you
Crucial,
think it had we lost the toss, would have been
very
a completely
crucial.
different game?
I don't think we would have won had we been chasing this 289, whatever the target was. If Pakistan were chasing, no way they would have gotten
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. And
So
I
it was
think
a very, very crucial toss to win.
we have to talk about Kamran Ghulam, right? So coming in, obviously replacing one of Pakistan's best ever batsmen under pressure. He's been around the squad for what years now, a veteran of domestic cricket. But I think with that
Yeah,
kind of
around
pressure,
domestic
playing
for
the kind
10
of luck he
years.
did, yeah, it was
Look, he's a phenomenal domestic batsman, right? He's scored heaps of runs. He's been his debut has come probably 5, 6 years too late, right? He should have been playing for Pakistan many, many years ago because
yeah,
of just the amount of runs he scored. And this shows that you've got talented batsmen sitting like Mohammad Herrera. Heaps
yeah,
of runs over the last 5 years. He's been in squad for the last 2 years, hasn't still played a test match.
yeah,
And you're backing people like Simon, you constantly failing, can't even play white ball cricket. I don't know why he's playing red ball cricket.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, so look, talent is there. There are few people who deserve chances. And I mean, kudos to all of them. Yeah, Sajid Ali, Nawan Ali, Kamran Ghulam, the three replacements
yeah,
who replaced really big stars,
yeah.
So they all delivered.
Yeah,
So,
and I think that was really key, right? Because if you look at that game, when Pakistan we were 19 for two, and it looked like what we may have played the spinning track, but Leach has got two of our guys out, and that's where, of course, Herrera supported by Saim had a long partnership, and I think they really kind of
yeah.
took Pakistan to a safe spot.
Yeah.
But moving
Yeah,
on,
no,
I
I mean,
guess.
Kamran Ghulam batted exceptionally well.
Yeah, I thought the other I think fascinating innings to watch was Duckett. So Duckett, of course, loves sweeping and reverse sweeping, etc. And it looked like he was probably the most dominant batsman on display on any team, right? Like that number stood out it was
He
strangely
was,
about how good he
for
was and how
sure. Yeah,
effective he was.
yeah. No, he was very good. He's a phenomenal batsman, and he's always done well in Pakistan. He loves to play spin. He attacks spin, and he was a crucial wicket in the second innings as well. Got him really early, which helped our cause. But yeah,
Yeah. I think I saw a stat that in the second innings, if you look at England's average on the sweep, a reverse sweep, etc., it was 93 for three, and against all of the other shots, it was 80 for 7 wickets. So essentially, they were like, "You're better off sweeping than playing any other kind of shot, more defensive shot on this kind of track."
yeah,
But
which is what they were trying to do, which is
yeah,
pretty much what they were
yeah,
doing.
yeah. And what's your take? And I guess the big thing here was also the England collapse, right? So there was a point in the game where England were 210 for two, with Duckett looking really good, and that's where suddenly in a span of like a few overs, Sajid came into 4 wicket, completely flipped the game on his head. And I think what's really interesting about Sajid is you have to also talk about
Yeah,
he was really smart because
Yeah,
earlier in the day he was actually bowling it much quicker. But by the end of the day, he had actually brought his speeds down to around the 40 miles per hour level, and he was
yeah,
actually forcing the batsman to kind of put a bit more pace on the ball, and
yeah,
completely paid off for him.
yeah, yeah. I mean, both these spinners are very, very experienced and they've played Test cricket. And again, I fail to understand why they've not been playing regularly Test cricket for Pakistan. Why they were dropped in the middle. Why Nawan Ali didn't
You
go
know,
to Australia, for example.
yeah.
It just makes no sense.
And I was having this thought earlier in the day. I was trying to recall any team which has the same primary spinner in white ball and test cricket. I couldn't come up with any. But it seems like every team has a separate leading spinner. So England's Adil Rashid here and Jack Leach on the other side. They've got Zampa and Nathan Lyon. Generally speaking, maybe Santana was the one person I could think of who is a bit of an all-rounder anyway, right? But generally speaking, it could also be a matter of the skill you need and so on, where your best primary white ball spinner typically is not your best test spinner. And even Rashid Khan, the few test matches he's played, he hasn't
True.
really done that well. So I think there could be something into it, right? But I think we need to be conscious of that, and just because we think Abrar did well initially
No, but
in domestic or white ball.
it's fair. I mean, look, it makes sense. Look, Sajid Khan, Naman Ali have not played any white ball cricket for Pakistan.
Yeah, yeah,
And I don't think they are the type of bowlers who would, right? So it makes sense. And even if you think back, I mean, besides Shane Warne and maybe Anil Kumble, Saklan Mushtaq, uh, no spinner has really excelled across formats,
yeah.
right? I mean,
Except
Ravindra Jadeja is a,
yeah,
but again, he's more of an all-rounder, right? Not
yeah,
main frontline
true.
spinner.
Also, I think he plays on those insanely
Shakib,
spin-friendly tracks. Shakib,
Shakib,
maybe. Shakib, probably the only one, yeah.
but he's also,
Yeah. But you know,
but
I guess,
he's also a more all-rounder, right? Not,
yeah. But it's an interesting point, right? So maybe it's the skills, either you go in one direction or the other and to develop your skills and your temperament. But I think one person we have to talk about from the Pakistan point of view is Salman Ali Agha. I just feel like this guy, I just love watching this guy play. He seems to really handle pressure well, and we've got him batting at number seven. He's averaging something like 49 in Test cricket, by the way, and he's played about 17 odd games now. And he just seems to be a real man of prices, really dependable kind of guy. And you might hear it first, but
yeah.
potentially future captain of Pakistan.
Yeah, I mean, look, he is very underrated, I believe. Even the white ball cricket he's played for
Yeah,
Pakistan, he's done well. Every test match, he seems to score difficult runs. He bats well with the tail. And I think he's a great, great player to have. Someone who can bowl as well. So for sure, I mean, very, very dependable. And I would keep him at seven. I would not move him to number four or three or five. It could be, like Asad Shafi, for example. At number six, he
yeah,
was phenomenal. You move him to number four and he just kept failing.
yeah,
So, I mean, fine, he's scoring runs. It doesn't mean that he'll score at number four as well. Keep him at this position. Let him play with the tail. That's what he knows. He's been doing that well. Let him play that role.
yeah. And just so I guess, yeah. I mean, I think the win is good. We're going into the second test. It'll probably be really hard for as much as Akif Javed might try to come up with a spinning track in Pindi. I don't know how they're going to do it. But what's your take on that? And would ask you
Yeah, I
what
mean, the
changes we
ball
would
was
make to
heavy.
the 11 also, but I'm not sure if you can answer that unless you know what kind of pitch it is.
Yeah, look, it'll be very difficult to make the Pindi pitch turn, even if you shave everything off and make it dusty or whatever. It'll be very difficult. I think, irrespective, I would probably change Zayed Mahmood and bring in one more pacer,
Yeah,
Mir Hamza or Mohammad Ali, one of them who are in the squad. That would, I think Zayed Mahmood didn't contribute much to this test either. You've got enough spin in Sajid Ali, Naman Ali, and Salman Agha. So
yeah,
it'd be good to have another pacer in. I think that may help. But the Pindi pitch, it's a flat track, right? And on a flat track, I think
yeah,
England will outbat you anyway.
yeah.
So
Our best shot is to have a 4-day game scheduled on that pitch starting today, right? So like we play for 4 days, somebody plays 4 days, and then we
yeah,
come
so
and play
Bazid Khan
on
said
the
that,
fifth day.
right?
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Bazid Khan said something like that, right? Play a 4-day match now. So the day one of the test match is like a fifth day pitch.
Day five, yeah.
But I don't know if Pindi, even on the 15th day, can become a pitch like that.
This one thing I want to comment on. I like the fact that
It's a
England
road.
have not once complained of this, right? Because England teams in the past typically whinge about a number of different things, but they've generally Stokes, even Brendan McCullum, they said, you know what, it's the home side, they need to win, and it's a completely fair thing. And at no point was the pitch dangerous or anything like that. So I think England
Yeah,
has they could have easily made picked on this, but they haven't.
of course, of course.
Okay, so I
Yeah,
guess
they
this one
can't. Yeah,
more
they
thing.
go to India all the time and play on
Yeah,
worse pitches.
exactly. They realize that. There's one thing I want to talk about. So during the test match, right, going back to how Pakistan does stuff so randomly, and an answer was made that the selection committee will not include the coach and captain, which happens in some other countries, but they will also be selecting the 11 going forward. So as far as I know, in every single test playing nation, you have the coach the selection committee where the coach and captain may or may not have a vote to select the 15. But when it comes to the 11, it's down to the coach and captain. But Pakistan have come out and said that the coach and captain will not be part of the selection for the 11, which came out halfway through the test match or kind of got lost somewhere, but which is a bizarre call in my view.
I have not seen that, but it is a bizarre call for sure. But look, right now, Shan, the captain and coach are part of the selection committee, but they were kept out of the meeting that announced the squad for test two and three,
Yeah.
not consulted. And playing 11, are you saying the playing 11 is going to be chosen by the selection committee and not Shan or Gillespie?
Yes, that's what they're saying. So 11 will be decided by the selection committee,
Oh,
excluding
wow.
Shan, on which these guys will not have a vote. So it's quite bizarre.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. That's strange, yeah.
Yeah. But like you said, right, we get so much strange news that this guy got lost somewhere in the middle. But
Yeah.
Umair's final thought on, I think it's a bit, I mean, we haven't done a show since, but again, it's obviously the biggest news, Pakistan leaving out Babar, Shaheen, and Naseem. Now, yeah, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, again, I would give credit to Akif Javed. Akif Javed, now this is off the record, right? I don't think he said this publicly, but from what I've heard from a few people, Akif clearly said that these three are creating some sort of issues in the dressing room, which is spoiling the culture and the whole morale of the team. Take these three out, and you will get a team that will play with the same single-mindedness and the same direction, right? It worked. And I believe the BCB is to blame for creating this whole issue between Shaheen and Babar. It was not the end of the world that you did not qualify for the semifinals of the ODI World Cup. We've not qualified for the semifinals of the ODI World Cup in the last 20 years, once in this
Yeah,
century, right? It's not the end of the world. What Zaka Ashraf did just destroyed Pakistan cricket. He created this whole politics between Shaheen and Babar, then the Saya Corp, and God knows what else was going on. बाबर को हटाया शाहीन को बनाया शाहीन को हटाया फिर बाबर को बनाया this whole I mean it played with them mentally, right? Now Babar Azam obviously skill या fitness या talent का मसला नहीं है, it's all mental, right? Shaheen का maybe physical issues, Naseem maybe fragile body or whatever. Babar is all a mental issue. This has been created by your own board. You've done this to your best players. You've brought them to a level where people want to keep them out of the team to create a better atmosphere. I
yeah,
mean, it's unfortunate. It was a right call. They did the right thing. And I hope all three can come back with a better frame of mind, with all this out of their thoughts. I
yeah.
mean,
Look,
and
I think
because,
if you,
Babar Azam is generational.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
I
watch
don't
how
get
they were
someone like
playing,
him.
right, I actually thought leaving Shaheen out was a no-brainer. I would have barely raised any headlines. I think
Yeah,
Naseem, I thought, was
yeah,
bowling fine, even though he didn't have a lot of wickets. But look
yeah,
at the track he was playing on. And the thing with Babar is,
yeah.
from a purely batting point of view, he looked like he would be batting fine, but then he would get out, right? And he, I think maybe the only two balls that
That
moved a
shows
little
your
bit.
lack of focus, right?
Yeah. And also, I think with Babar, he got a bit unlucky also in this game because the only two balls that moved maybe the entire first test was the Chris Woakes ball that got Babar and the one before that, right? Otherwise, the ball barely did anything.
Yeah,
But you're right. There is a lack of
yeah,
focus, a lack of concentration.
yeah,
Like if you're getting into those 20, 30, 40s looking really good and then you're getting out. And I just feel like,
yeah.
again, the haphazard way of doing this is what I think I've taken. Like, I don't mind leaving Babar out for a few games, but I feel like it didn't make sense leaving him out after first test. I thought पहले ही उसको सीरीज ना खिलाओ या उसको वापस लेके आओ. And essentially, this is your
Exactly,
most important series of the
exactly.
season, right? It's not like what are you resting in them for? So या तो आप कहें कि they're not part of our best side and pick them out, that's
Yeah.
fine. But this is essentially a marquee series, or should have been for the whole season, I would say, in my view. But anyway,
Yeah.
let's hope that we can have them
Yeah.
back soon and better frame of mind. Any predictions for the last game?
पर now बाबर किसकी जगह आएगा भाई? बाबर
I
किसकी
mean,
जगह आएगा अब अगर आया भी?
look, I think the way I see it,
I mean आएगा
I,
तो, but who do you who do you
I mean, I still don't think Sean makes to the 11, right? I don't think he ever has. I know he's captain right now, but how long will that last?
I completely agree. But then who captains? But then who captains?
Well, my sense is,
Yeah. No, it's a
I
good
mean,
problem to have.
yeah, yeah. Let's see, let's see. But again, as just for the record, I don't think Shan makes it to the 11. I think purely batting wise, like Babar's worst players are like Shan's best players, right? So that's the reality of it. So I don't think
Yeah,
it's
of course.
even a question.
Of course.
But any predictions for the next game?
Yes. Draw.
Draw तो नहीं होगा. England fast scores too fast. We don't bat long enough. So draw तो नहीं होगा मेरा ख्याल से. But
नहीं ये देखो विकेट it's going to be very difficult to take wickets on the Pindi pitch. हम भी 600-700 मार लेंगे यार इंग्लैंड 800-900 मार लेगा बैटिंग करते रहो मैं तो कहता हूँ बैटिंग करते रहो इंग्लैंड को बैटिंग ही ना दो 500 दिन
uh,
बैट कर लो
I don't think we can bat so much. But I guess my prediction would be I would probably think the track would be a lot more like the first test than this test, and I think England would probably end up winning the
yeah
game. But I hope I'm wrong. But thank you for being
yeah
on, Amer.
yeah thanks Faris thank you for having me it was
And for
good
those of you
after a
watching,
while
yeah, it's been a while. And for those of you watching, we'll be back after the final test, hopefully with a series win for Pakistan. In the meantime, stay tuned to the shiny side.